you. Hello, 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 and thank you to everybody who is joining us live or watching on the replay. And you know, when it's holiday time, sometimes you say Happy Easter, which is what we are looking forward to on Sunday. And Good Friday isn't as joyful or happy, but it is a holiday absolutely worthy of recognition. And so thanks for joining us on Good Friday. And for our flower bracelet, or our little daisy bracelet, I think I'm going to get started. It has been a fun, exciting day here so far at the bead store, and we appreciate the moments that we get to hang with our customers and hang with our customers online. So thank you for joining us today. I'm going to be showing you how to make this fun little bracelet. In fact, Eddie, do you want to say anything about deals or what we're doing before I jump right in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, we're coming to you live from historic downtown Stoughton. It's the Ed and Becky Show. My name is Ed. Say hi, Becky.
Hi, Becky.
Becky says hi. So if you've done this before, a lot of you have, we're going to put beautiful things in front of you and give it a lot number. And if you like it, you just say sold in the lot number, and we will ship it to you at the end of the show. In order to ship it to you, we need to have your email address, because we send you a secure click and pay email via Square. So if you've never shopped before, we just need to have you send your email to Becky@YakinosDesigns.com. As with a lot of our shows, if you order over $50, very easy to do, you'll get free shipping. Otherwise, it's $5.95. And for those of you that are buying like a rock star, if you spend over $100 or $250, you get extra discounts of 10 or 20%. If you are one of our in-house designers, you can get your special discount, but not both the show and your discount, one or the other. And with that, I'll give it back to Becky.
Thanks. All right, I'm going to jump right in. I do want to first say thank you to Beth Luker, who brought this idea to us months ago in a teeny little size 15 or 11 bead form. That is not my thing. So I asked her, I said, "Oh, do you think it could be made with bigger beads?" And I said, and she showed me how, and I said I would try it, and I didn't. And she came back a few weeks later, maybe even less, and showed me she had tried it with 6s and said, "Hey, it works. It's beautiful." And so we'd agreed that it was worth making into a fun kit and sharing with all y'all. So thank you. I do want to, this is just a weird little, I see this sitting here and, you know, squirrel. In 2 weeks or 3 weeks, am I doing another show, Ed?
3 weeks.
Okay, so in 3 weeks, I'm doing this bracelet, which is a fun little assembly, and then a couple other things. But look how cute it looks with this, color-wise. Anyway, just thought I'd throw that out there before I forget. So I'm going to move these things around, and I'm going to show you how easy this little guy is. So we're going to have 2 different colorway kits. The 2 that you saw that are kits are this one and this one. The other is a combination of size 5 beads on strands. So we'll have some of those available, and then you can make up your own colorways, because that's really fun and kind of where you get to go with this. And I'm going to try this without a bead mat, and if I need a bead mat, I'm going to bring one in. But I like to, and I tried to set this up today so that so that I can see reasonably well, whilst also making sure you can see reasonably well. And sometimes that's easier said than done. Anyway, all right, bead mat it is. This is why God made bead mats, because pretty little bits of handmade paper don't hold beads very well. But look at how the bead mat holds those beads. So our kits come with 5 different colors of beads. This one has mostly Picassos, and this lovely matte yellow bead that is one of my happy faves. And so we've got Picasso red, green, blue, and turquoise. And I'm just going to dump out a few. Actually, Eddie, I have a sheet with the numbers, but you probably remember them. The kits come with 5 packs of 70 count beads, which means you can make more kits. You can make up to 3 bracelets. Do you, if I gave you the sheet, Eddie, does that help you? Can you rattle off numbers?
Well, yeah, even if you have a very good size wrist, I mean, if you have an average wrist, you only need about 100 beads. A good size wrist, let's say 115 beads. And we give you 350, so that's enough for comfortably for three bracelets. You'll have plenty of cord. We give you 3 magnets. So when we show you a kit, it's actually enough to make 3 entire bracelets. Or conversely, you could make 2 very large bracelets or 2 anklets. Or you could make an entire 18, 19-inch necklace. So you've got a lot to work with. We didn't want to create a tiny little kit only for you to get hooked on this and say, oh, now I want to do another thing. So it was efficient for us to package these the way we package them, and then it gives you, like I said, 3 projects at a great value. So
Thanks, Eddie. I appreciate that. And oh, I see Terry. I can't read the whole of her little poem, but it's cute. You got to read it, Eddie. Okay. Oh, so fun. Apparently, people are aware that it's a special day for you. I probably should have said happy birthday. I wish we could all sing it, because I am not going to. Nobody wants that. But maybe all y'all out there could sing it. Anyway, size 8 nylon cording, Griffin brand, I love, but these come in lots and lots of different sizes. It has this wonky little wire needle attached, and it comes with 2 full meters of cord. It tells you right there, and lots of different colors. So partway through here, we're going to grab some other colors. I chose the kind of very neutral beige because I feel like, you can work with all the, any colors go with it. It kind of blends into my skin tones, so then the beads stand out. But I'll show you some examples, or at least one example where I use some green cord. I will say the challenge when you first get started using this kind of cord is that it is 2 meters long. And, anytime you have 2 meters or 2 yards worth of stuff, it can kind of get tangled once in a while, so I try to be careful. And I will be doing that while we're doing this so that I don't make oopses. And but the first thing we're going to do is you work, from the beginning. Obviously, everything gets strung onto the needle, but I take everything all the way down to the very, 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 very end so that I can use this many, many, many times. And if you can just straight string on this, you can do whatever you want with it. But the way that I'm starting this, and I'm set this up so that it could be a project that doesn't require any tools, we're simply going to make this very first knot right here. And right there. And then put a few beads on for a little dangle. And then we're going to attach the magnet, and then I'll start to show the pattern and the stitching that you need to do. So I'm going to pick up turquoise and yellow and red that will end up going on, and then I'm going to show you the knot. So, if you have a favorite knot, just use your happy favorite knot, right? If, however, you don't have a favorite knot, here's one that I like. And the thing about the knot on this is this, and then the other knot at the very, very end needs to be chunky enough to hold, with a fairly large hole, size 6 bead. So it needs to be, because the holes are largish, 1.2 millimeters or something, the knot needs to be big enough. So I make a on this size cord, with a larger hole size 6 bead, a 4-time around surgeon's knot works beautifully. So just an overhand knot, like so, easy for me to say. And then that was 1, I'm going to do it 3 more times. So 1, or that's 2, that's 3, and that is 4. So I'm going to pull all of it down and just make a really nice, big, thick knot. And because this is nylon, if you want to burn it, you can do that. I don't want to do that down here. We're in the basement by the gas furnaces, and I just didn't feel like that was a great idea. But you can, you know, snip this off, and then I like it when it gets a little bit of a fray, because that to me looks, you know, kind of fun and fringy. But if you don't like that, you can glue it or certainly burn it. But I would practice the burning not on the, well, you have got plenty of cord, so practice the burning so you don't over cook it, because it melts quickly. So we got our 3 beads on that are going to be my dangle, and that could be shorter or longer. But the dangle is part of what makes it so that you don't have to do any other attachments, and you can just use the cord and attach to these magnets. So I'm going to tell you, this magnet, oh my goodness, this is the most powerful little buddy. Okay, so there, pulled it apart. I've worn this bracelet for months, at least a month and a half now. Well, since before Tucson, right? And I wear it hard, pull it on and off, and it holds up like nobody's business. I'm so pleased with this happy little itty bitty magnet. And so the way I like to attach them is just first do a simple single overhand knot so that you can cinch it really easily right where you need it. And so with knots and string, you got to be careful that you don't over tighten where you don't want it. So I want this knot to be really close to the 3 beads that are part of my little dangle. So I'm going to pull them in just like so, and then pull it nice and tight. And then this is probably sufficient, but because I want to be sure that it's good and sturdy, I'm going to go through with my needle that opening in the, hold it too far, the opening in the magnet, and then I'm going to do surgeon's knot, but this time just a standard surgeon's knot. So I went through once, went through twice, and this will be the end of our knotting till we get to the very end of the bracelet. And so again, pulling everything, I'm kind of pulling this cord through so that my knot ends up nice and snug right up against the magnet, and I pull that nice and hard. And this cord is so sturdy you can pull it like you
can tow a car out of a ditch.
Well, I don't know if I would tow a car out of a ditch, but you could try, you know, a small car, maybe one of those little electric vehicles. All right, so the way this pattern goes, I'm going to do another one just the exact same as this. Only because when we have all these extras, we'll sell them at art shows, and I've gotten lots of feedback. So what I've done, and with the way the numbers work with the 70 beads of 5 different colors, in a bracelet of this length, which fits about a 6.5-inch wrist, there's 11 11 flowers. I'm going to just go ahead and use that yellow as my center bead for the flower. So it's the center of each flower, but it's also the spacer bead. It doesn't have to be that. You could change it up and do whatever you want, but I'm going to go ahead and do this because that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to put the spacer bead on. Then I'm going to put, I'm not going to do the same pattern. I'm going to do turquoise. I'm going to put 4 of my first color bead on. And then I'm going to put 1 of the center bead on. So every time, well, there's basically 2 stitches. The first stitch will be your spacer bead, 4 of your petal beads, and then 1 center bead. And Eddie stopped over, and I'm going to pull that down. Do you have
I didn't want to
something to add?
Well, while you're threading that through, so many of you have come from the seed bead world and you're used to patterns, and these patterns look like a paint by number thing, and it's telling you exactly what color to go in exactly what position. And we didn't want to do that. Becky likes to do things freeform, so we are giving you a beading pattern, and we're also giving you a stringing pattern in all of our documentation. And if you flip that over, and highlighting on that, so we're clearly, step by step walking you through it, but we're giving you 100% freedom to pick the colors of the flowers, the colors of the center, and the colors of the spacers. And you're going to see in a second that the secret sauce is this kind of S-shaped beading pattern. I wanted to call it the crazy ass bracelet, but Becky said, oh, that might sound a little weird, especially if you say it 3 times fast. So we decided on daisy chain beaded bracelet. But anyway, I'll give it back to Becky. So you guys get to be the decider is the key point I wanted to make.
All right, so I've got a spacer bead, 4 colored beads that are my petals, and then 1 center bead. And then you're going to come back and you're going to string through the first petal bead. So you never string through a spacer bead. You never string through a petal bead. You're only going to string through center or daisy beads. Or I'm sorry, you never string through a center bead or a spacer bead. You're only going to string through petals. And so this first stringing, I'm going back toward the magnet end that's already attached. So I'm going to pull that all through, and it's really important to keep the stitching snug. So an easy way I have found to do that is if you have a nice fingernail, hold the spacer bead, and then the first bead that is part of the petals, hold that really close to each other and tight on to the what you've already got started, and just pull it through really tight. So you can see that's the first half of one of the petals. And that one came together really, really nicely. Sometimes they come together in the weirdest wonky way. I think it's like several, just different hole sizes or where it's hitting on the beads, and they look really weird. But trust, if you've got a spacer, 4 petals, and a center bead, that you do have it right. So now these 3 beads are going to go through the last petal bead that I stitched, and I'm going to pull that through. I should have some mood music for when I'm pulling cord through, because that's kind of boring. So that one is nice and snug. I'm gonna, on the next one, I'll make it a little looser so I can show you how to handle it when if your stitching gets kind of loose. So I'm gonna put on a spacer bead, and this time I'm gonna do green next to blue or turquoise. So I'll pick up 4 of those green Picasso beads, and then 1 center bead. Pull that all through, and then kind of hold your work a bit. Keep that spacer bead close. Go through the first petal bead and string toward the magnet end of the bracelet. And here's where, again, kind of holding that down, you can tighten everything in. That's the first half of the petal. And then I'm going to pick up 3 more green Picasso beads. I thought this was fun for this time of year because the flowers are coming up, even here in Wisconsin. It's been so warm. We've got crocuses and daffodils starting to peak. Anyway, we're going to go through, in this case, I don't know how to say if it's away from, it's pretty intuitive as to which direction you string through that, through the last petal bead. And Ed's little S diagram makes that real clear in the instructions. And so here, see how, like, that's nicely formed, but he's too loosey-goosey, right? I want him closer. I don't want that much big of a gap right there on the between his flowers. So I loosen up the last 3 and then grab that cord and just snug everything back down. It's pretty straightforward how how you do that once you've done it a time or two, and you'll see. Sometimes if you're, if you're not talking and trying to show this on a video, it goes together a little bit easier. But when you're chatting and moving around and taking a moment, sometimes it gets loosey-goosey, so then you have to tighten it up. So there we go. So that's the second little bead, or the second little daisy. So I am well on my way, as you can see, to putting a lot more daisies on here. I am going to spare you watching every single one of those, but I am going to do 2 more. This one is almost finished. And just because I felt like it's helpful to see this a time or two. Thanks, guys, for your feedback and such. And let's see if I'm doing
while
this.
Becky's doing that unwind, again, I had not worked with griffin cord before. And my first thought was, how do you rethread the needle for the second and third project? And she's like, oh, you don't touch that needle. That needle has to stay on. And in order for that needle to stay on, so that's what you are seeing Becky do. It's 2 meters is about 78 inches, and you need, 20 to 26 inches per project. But you're essentially beading from the back 20 to 26 inches of that 78 inches, and then you cut it off. And now when you start the second project, you've only got a 50-inch cord instead of, and then on the third project, you got a 30-inch cord. So it gets progressively easier with each project, but you're always keeping your needle intact, and we do highly emphasize that in the instructions as well. Keep that needle in place, because that makes it just so much easier to do all this beading. So just wanted to throw that tip in case anyone else out there was a griffin cord newbie like me.
All right. Well, people are already bidding on lot 1, so I will talk about that. Okay. Yeah, lot 1 is this kit, right? And so I'm just going to finish this flower right there. He's nice and good. And put 1 more spacer, and then grab the magnet, which is already on the other end because it is so nice and sturdy. Going to go through the magnet, and then do the simple, it's easier to probably take this apart. There. La, la, la. Do a simple overhand knot. Wow. You would think that would be simple. It is just a knot, girlfriend. You can do this. Oh, for heaven's sakes. Do you ever have those? Yes, we all have those days. We know it. Anyway, yeah, this is what happens when I'm trying to stay out of the way of the phone, which is also the camera, but yet make it so you can see it. And I undid my own knot. So sorry. All right. Did I tie a knot yet? Yes, I did, finally. Okay, so we're going to hold that nice and close, and it's just the single overhand, and I'm tightening it nice and good. So now all those little bits and parts, and if anything had come loose, of course, you'd shorten it up a little bit or snug them up. And then I'm going to do 1 more, and that one's going to be surgeon's knot. I go through once, go through twice. And like I say, this is just a way I figured out to do this, but you can, you can tie knots however you like. All right. So that is all snugged in. And then 3 little beads. I think I'll do red, yellow, blue. What's everybody doing for Easter? We're gonna have bean soup on Saturday night. That's our story. Church on Sunday. So I put my little beads on there, and I'm gonna do my fancy 4-wrap surgeon's knot. And again, any knot that is big enough to hold those beads on will do. So 1, 2, 3, might even be 3 is enough, 4, and then snugging that all nice and close. I made it a little wonkier than I maybe should have, and like I sometimes do, I make it look harder than it is. All right, I'm gonna just try pulling it. Oh, Kathy, I'm sorry to hear that. I don't look at the screen often, but I did just glance. I know we have been praying for him. I'm sorry. All right, so there, we've got a nice big knot that's going to hold quite well. And I am going to find my snippers, and we'll snip. You know, even though that knot looks big and chunky, I'm going to do this. There we go. And even though there's just a little bit of this left, it's enough to do something with. So, all right. And this magnet, like I say, super, super strong. And so you will enjoy working with that. We'll have some of him available as well. So, yeah, thank goodness he's no longer in pain, as you say. Boy, tough season for you, Kathy. I am sorry. I imagine we'll be doing some things thinking of him this holiday. I am looking for lot 1. Okay, so this is, we'll get her done. Lot 1 is the kit that I just showed you, which is the kind of primary color Picasso beads and enough to make 3 bracelets and, or, you know, an anklet, and 1 bracelet or a necklace, whatever. I had an awl here, and I chose not to use it because I feel like not everybody has an awl, but you can use that for messing with your knots and snugging them down a little bit if you want to. And next I'm going to do, so that's lot 1 is the primary colors. I hope these are showing up okay. This, let's just do it like this, is kind of those metallic mauve colors that are purple, pink, kind of black AB, I think, is in there, metallic green. Anyway, so those are the 2 that we've got that are fully put together kits, and shortly I will grab and show you a sample that I've done with 2 different strands of size 6 beads. So, and then we'll show you some that I've done with size 5 beads. So what we're going to do for that is we'll have the strands available as pairs because they just work really well. And what they are is within a certain colorway of beads, there's usually a shiny strand and a matte strand. And so I've just paired them up so that when you put your work together, you can have a mix of shiny and matte, because I found like that looks really kind of fun. And it just gives you lots of choices and variety. So in those designs, you can, there's a little more, like here, you can have 5 bead or 4 bead colors or 4 flower colors or 5 flower colors, whichever you want to do depending on how you do your center beads. When you're using strands, sometimes you get more options and more colors, so that's kind of fun. But there's, with these beads, the whole size is all the same. So yay, there's not much to say about that. It makes it easy. With the size 6 beads, sometimes some of the holes are really small. And I'm going to show you that next because we will move on to that quick little demonstration. And then I'll show you those beads. So this is the start of a bracelet using our first lot of size 6 beads. And so it's the shiny and the matte of these strands, but broken out. And I wanted to show this little, you know, I used a cute little bead sorter that I got out in Tucson to just show that, okay, those 2 strands, I've got the matte ones on the bottom and the shiny ones on the top. They broke into all those different colors, so I sorted them so that I could choose which ones were going to be part of my bracelet. So here, because on some colors there weren't enough perhaps to make a whole flower, because you need 7 beads in each petal, right? So here I did the first 4, and then this is going to be my next, let's see, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then I'll need to do 1 more. But I pre-picked my beads and arranged how I wanted them to go so that I was sure I had enough of all the right beads. Because as you can see, you know, this color, this real dark one is this one here, but I only had X number, you know, that many beads in that color. So I didn't want to use that for something that I would run out of if I was working on a pattern. So anyway, this is sort of the approach that you use when you're using the 2 strands. And then, so we're going to have the strands first, and then I'm going to have the different colors of cord. And you can change it up. You know, again, I kind of was using beige because it's really, really neutral, but you can do some fun things with colors. Like, I think the second set of our beads, I'm using green because I wanted to kind of see how that works. And, you know, really the cord doesn't show a lot, but it shows a little. The other thing I was doing here is using the little tube beads as the spacer bead. And so that gives it a different kind of look. I think if I would do this again, I would probably pick, I would like it to be a little lighter. I would probably pick one of the yellow beads to be a spacer and a center, but I kind of wanted to play with the blues and the tubes, so that's why I did that. Anyway, all right, so I think we will go on to the beads. And of course, the examples that we showed here are fine little examples, but they are by no means the only thing you can do with check beads. So, you know, you can do other fun things. So we do have more of these coming. I was hoping they'd have been here today, but I think they're going to be here tomorrow, according to my shipping.
Oh,
and
are they from the beads or the box?
The beads.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, coming tomorrow.
Yeah, my organizing boxes showed up today. That was good. But I think the beads are coming tomorrow. So this, lot 3, you get 1 strand of the shiny and 1 strand of the matte. And you can see these are made to go together. So lot 3 would be 2 strands of beads, 1 shiny, 1 matte. And they just work really nice for putting together this particular bracelet. And I'm just going to show that little sample. Oh, yeah, that was this one. Duh. Becky. So the way that bracelet worked up was like this. So those beads divided up, and when you play flowers with them, put them in a little flower garden, they turn, you can put them together like so. And I know, I've always loved purple and green together. I think they're opposites on the color wheel, or there's something important on the color wheel that makes them, well, obviously they just reflect nature. So that's one of the things I love about purple and green too. And to me, these kind of are that purple, green, and a little bit of yellow, a little bit of blue. So this is lot 3. Lot 4 is these guys. And this was a little sample that was those beads paired up and done on green. So lot 4 would be a strand of the matte beads and one strand of the shinies, and together they would be able to make at least 2 of these bracelets. The size 6 beads have, oh, I did a count. I think they have 330 beads, roughly. So with 330 beads, you can make 3 average bracelets with just 2 strands of beads. Of course, you don't have, you're limited by your choices. So then you may have other beads in your stash. And I think these would work up with other, with a standard Miyuki size 6. You could use those as the center or spacer beads. I would probably have well, no, you could probably use them for a flower petal bead as well. All right, so that is lot 4. Lot 5 are these young littles. And so the 5s are just a little bit bigger than the 4s. The whole size is just a little bit bigger. I didn't have any of these not fit through twice. I will say the strands that I did the sample with the 6s, I didn't have any beads that I had a hard time getting through twice. But every so often, sometimes there's a smaller hole bead. And so you want to avoid having those be the ones that you end up needing to go through 2 times, because that'll be harder. And so this bracelet I made with just the matte beads, and I'm going to do it again but use the shinies for the middles. I think that would be very pretty. So lot 5 would be 1 strand each of these fun, bright reds, blues, greens, couple different variations of the red, blue, green. And it's interesting, like when you match these up and they're the shiny version, like that looks to me like terracotta, and that looks kind of like this pretty golden red. Anyway, it's fun to see how they come out when they're matted. But so lot 5 is 1 strand each of these yummy beads. And again, they're beautiful, I think, done up as this sweet little design, but these beads are good for all kinds of stuff. They're size 5s have at least like a 1.2 or 1.3 mil hole, so they're useful for all kinds of good things. This guy is beautiful purples and greens. Talk about purple and green. So there we've got that matte, actually the purple on the matte and the shiny are just, have a really fun, glowy sort of finish. And so lot 6 is 1 strand each of these 2 beads. I didn't have a chance to put a sample together for these. I was gonna, and I will, but I don't have one to show you. But I hope that the examples that I've shown give you sort of a sense of how easily these are pulled together. This is where, like, I love the bright green over here. Maybe that becomes your spacer or your center. Or no, maybe that would probably be a flower because they're pretty. Maybe the stripe bead is going to be the center. Anyway, so lot 6, beautiful turquoises. This one is a translucent. And as anybody who's worked with these, we use these beads all the time in our earrings with little drops and our naked earring kits. Anyway, size 5s are good for all kinds of stuff. So lot 7, oops, yes, lot 7 is, this is funny because there's only one, but these are common. I only had one of these, but they're in stock. These beads go in and out of stock so blessed much. It's hard to keep track. So I'm just going to do this. I'll hold one of each. I love these, well, both of these. If you are a green girl, these are your beads. So at least 3 or 4 different shades of green in those. And then the yellow stripes and a really pretty, almost cobalt blue. And just a very lovely bead. And you know, if you enjoy this pattern and you want to do lots of them and you get several different strands, there's no reason you can't mix and match these. I just threw together the shiny and matte pairs because I knew for sure those beads would coordinate well with each other, but you can certainly do some crossing over. I know, Eddie, you've been making a lot of bracelets for art shows where you use check beads from all the strands, right? I mean,
Right.
you've just made, he's made some things that he'll ask me, like, are these just too weird? I'm like, no, they're gorgeous. You just, and people love them. And it's funny because, like, I get very accustomed to, oh, these beads are the ones that go together with each other, but no, they don't have to. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, I playfully call I playfully call them Frankenstein bracelets, but they are truly one of a kind. And like I said, we've come up with some just absolutely stunning. I tend to use them a lot on the tubes and cubes, and then those 5-wrap memory spiral bracelets with the 5mm bolo in the center.
So now these are not pairs. Now everything I showed you so far was the beads that we had in pairs available for this. These are just some of the new size 6s that we happen to have available that we haven't had on a show yet, so I wanted to make you aware. When we were in Tucson, this strand, one of our designers who was helping us at the booth, I forget, was it Kathy or Susan? I think it was Susan. If you're on, tell me which one of you it was. Anyway, I think they called this like the bumblebee strand or something. And it was really popular, and she did it up in some designs that were just lovely. So anyway, lot 8 is these lovely strands. So there's the translucent kind of golden, clear honey looking, and then this almost looks honeycombish, I guess, and then black. So a black Picasso. So you could use these, you know, together as this arrangement of colors or mix them with others. I do like that yellow as a bead in lots of different things, as well as the black. So anyway, that is lot 8. Lot 9. These are some fun kind of Easter eggy pastel-y colors. I don't think we've had this on a show. And we do have more of these, but anyway, it is a very nice, fun pastel-ish color. And there are 4 distinct colors in here. Actually 5. There's a peach, a light peach, a dark peach, a green, a yellow, and then kind of a, you know, creamy color. So this would work up similar to if you were using it to make these little bracelets. I think it would work up similarly. Anyway, so lot 9 is these size 6 strands of pastel colored beads. And they all have a big enough hole that they're going to go through. The cording is going to be able to go through those twice. So, and again, it only has to go through a few of the beads twice. So if you do run into a random small hole, and I think most people who work with us and hear me talk about beads, you know that these check beads don't have as consistent sized holes as a Miyuki or a Matubo, and we do a lot of our kits with Miyukis and Matubos, and the 2 kits that we've got are Miyukis that have a very consistent large hole center, or large hole, and but the check handmade beads are not so predictable, so you do have some small holes. So I will say that on this is, I love this terracotta bead. Oh my goodness, that's my favorite bead right there, and he's lovely. But these also have some size 7s, and that little blue bead is a size 7 with a decent size hole, but I'm not sure that this strand will work super well for this particular project, just because there's two different bead sizes, and I think consistency of size is important and helps with how that bracelet goes together. So anyway, I just thought these were pretty beads, and a couple different colors of green in there. That particular striped bead right there is absolutely yummy. Again, when we make earrings with one little, like their disc earrings with one little drop, that would be the bead we'd pick out, because he's just a spectacular, yummy little bead. Can you see how good that bead right there is? Oh my goodness. Anyway, all right, so lot 10, I will get to shaking. And the rest of this will go pretty quick, I do think, because we're just gonna share the different things that we've got. Okay, so before I do the cording, if you wanna do, oops, wow, lighting issues. So, if you need magnets, you can have magnets. So 2 brass magnets, 2 copper magnets, and these are $3 for a pair of magnets. And of course, these are useful for this project, but they could go with pretty near any other project where you need just a really good, strong magnet. I am so happy with these magnets. I can't even tell you. We have a lot of people who come in. We have a lot of people who come in who want us, and so these are just the 5 finishes: antique brass, copper, antique silver, gold, and silver. Shiny silver, shiny gold on the bottom. So we have so many people come in who want us to replace their necklaces with magnets because they don't like doing the lobster claws anymore. And we do that for sure. But we also use these as a little converter where you put a lobster on one side of it and open, or not an open jump ring, but a jump ring on the other side. And then that just replaces the, you use the lobster that's on the necklace to hook into the loop. And then you use the lobster on the other side of this little magnet to hook into the loop on the necklace. And then you can change that and move the converter around from necklace to necklace. So anyway, my point is they are that sturdy, because I wouldn't use it as a replacement for a lobster claw unless it was a really, really sturdy magnet. So lot 11 through 15 are our happy little magnets. And then there is a thing that I did that I wanted to show. Where did it go? If you don't love magnets and you'd rather have an adjustable end, this one I put together with a lobster and extender chain. And you just do the same darn thing. Tie the whole bead strand straight to the end of the lobster in the loop there, and then tie it onto the last link of the extender chain, and then you've got a bracelet that has a little bit of adjustability, and that's helpful if you're selling them. So I am putting some of ours together that way, and so I have those little sets available too. So lots 11 through 15 are the magnets, and now 16 through 20 are going to be the lobster and extender chain. So let's see, antique silver and antique brass. So I'm just using a standard, actually this isn't a 9mm lobster, this is a 12mm lobster. So that's kind of the medium size that most people are familiar with. And so there's 2 lobsters and 3 inches of extender chain that you'd cut in half, because about 1.5 inches, for me, that's about as much as I would want my extender to be, because otherwise it gets too long and dangly. Becky is asking to show the closure again, the lobster closure. I will say this sample that I made, I am using a different lobster. The one we're giving you is a different one. I like it. It's just a very standard lobster. This one is I don't know why I use this one. I was practicing. But this, you would do the same thing. You're just attaching the lobster, onto the with the cord to the first end of the bracelet, and then at the end, just knot onto the adjusted or to the extender chain and finish it exactly the same way. So hopefully that makes good sense. And our instructions don't talk about that. That's why, you know, the videos always add a little something more than what the instructions do. But most of you are capable of figuring that out. I'm thinking, based on what I know about the people that we've got on right now. But if you're new and you don't know how to do some of that, and you know, look at the video again or call us. We are happy to take phone calls anytime and try to help you through any questions that you might have. Sometimes I've done FaceTime calls with people to demonstrate something, or a lot of times we can just talk through something that that's easy enough to do that with. So anyway, we are here to help whenever you might need. So I'm going to move these out of the way, and we're going to go to our griffin cord. So again, love, love, love this cord. And I'm going to
Becky wants you to hold it to the top of the screen.
hold it to the comments are hiding her view. Okay, I can do that. So that's interesting. So quit moving it around, right, Becky? There. And when I say right, Becky, I'm talking to myself, not the Becky who's asking me to hold it to the screen. So does that make sense? We're just tying it right onto the end of the lobster and then right onto the end of the chain, and it is good. You know, that's interesting. Like, so on my view on the phone, I have to look at this, at what I'm doing through the comments also, but is that the way it is on everybody's screen? Like, do you see your
If they're
stuff?
watching it on their phone instead of a PC.
Oh, if you're on the phone. Yeah, I've wondered if there's a way to like change that up, because it makes it hard for me to see what I'm doing because I have to read it through the comments. Anyway, hopefully that makes sense. If not, ask another question. And let me...
Hang on. Yeah. So while Becky's getting that set up, if you don't need griffin cord and you're done shopping, you can break away now. You don't need to watch the rest. We got 16 lots of griffin cord, and we're going to just display them in lots of 4 at a time. They won't be able to see them other than 4 at a time.
Oh, shoot. You mean what I see on my screen is different than what they
it's
see?
It's easier. It's coming off the screen. Anyway, it's better.
Well, so that's good to know, because I don't know how it looks other than what's on my phone.
So, and then it's nice and divisible by 4. So, all these lots of griffin cord are $3. They're all size 8. They're all 2 meters long with the needle. I'm just going to read off some of the colors so that if you hear a color you want, stay on. But if you don't need any cord, or if you don't need that color, you can hang out. So we're starting out with beige, gray, brown, and black. And just a note, we only have 5 black. Then we'll go to white, jade, olive, and carnelian. Then we'll go to amber, garnet, turquoise, and lilac. And then finally end up with dark blue, pink, amethyst, and blue. So again, those are the 16 different colors. If you say, wow, just send me one of each, we can do that. But otherwise, just hang tight. If you don't need griffin cord or don't want to stay for this final portion, let us know if you're done shopping. And again, if you're seeing this afterwards, be sure to send us any additions to this show or any new orders that are where you're watching the replay to Becky at diakonosdesigns.com. Our show next week, and just again, in case some of you drop off, we're actually going to do a show 6 days from now. We're going to do it on Thursday night, April 4th. It's going to be a D-stash show with some gorgeous pearls, glass pearls. I mean, real small hole pearls, glass pearls. And we are going to also have a lot of very unique findings, as well as some very unique sterling findings. It's a D stash. It's going to be, everything's going to be at least 40% off of what expected retail is. It should be a fun, quick show. And then Becky's going to be back on the 19th with some more kits. So I'll let Becky go through the cording. Let me get caught Wasn't sure how many.
All right, and so for $3, I mean, these are, oh, all right, well, okay, these are a great deal, really. There's an awful lot you can do with these. I just string straight and then without doing any design and make simple little bracelets like this. This one happens to be an elastic, but you know, you can do this style of bracelet that's just beads on a string and use little magnets or otherwise to close it up. I will say this one says silk. That's because I don't yet have my, this is an order that I think should be coming in tomorrow as well, that has this color called cornelian in nylon. And so the few of my samples I only have in silk. So, but what we're selling today is not the silk. We're selling the nylon. And difference between nylon and silk. There's several differences. The silk, once the product is made up, is a little bit stretchier. There's a little more give to it over time. The nylon feels in the same size. It feels a little thicker and heavier. And there's still a little bit of give, especially with this design. But it is more true to length and won't stretch at all that I've found. So we're gonna do a few more.
I need to get card up. It's locked up here.
All right, so Eddie is locked up.
Just a second.
And so we'll give him a minute because it's his birthday. And I'll put these colors out there. And then I will say this, the last 3 colors that Ed read off, I don't actually have samples for. So pink, amethyst, and blue, I don't have a sample for, but they're coming. So, but I will show you the blue. Well, actually, I'll do this. This is 33. Well, no, I won't. Well, no, I won't. Never mind. All right, 29. This color is called amber, but it is a yummy. I'm just going with what the vendor calls the colors. But it is a really yummy, like mustard yellow. I've used it in a few things. I just think it's a pretty fun pop of color. And this red garnet is also a fun, you know, it's a beautiful, it's just kind of the right red. It's not too yellow or rather orange, or it's not too pink. It's not too purple. It's not too blue. It's just a very solid, well, it looks very much like a garnet, I guess, thus that color. So that one's well named. This just doesn't strike me as it looks like amber, although, well, maybe that butterscotch amber. And then turquoise, I don't know why that's called turquoise, because I think that's not turquoise, but maybe I don't know my colors. And then this one is lilac. So 29 through 32, amber, garnet, turquoise, and lilac. And I think somebody asked for green in Griffin cord, and we do have 2 greens. We have one, the light green is jade, and then the darker green is olive. So if you could, there, I'll take my thumb off it. It'd be easier for you to see. Jade and olive, 26 and 27. Should do it that way. Anyway, trying to help, making things difficult probably. But that, yeah, those 2 colors I've used as well. I just think they're lovely. Anyway, green always makes a nice background for some of these beautiful check beads. So I'm going to explain. All right, so lot 34 is pink. I do not have a sample, but it's a nice light pink. It's a decent pink. I'm not a huge pink girl, but it's a good pink. It's not Pepto-Bismol pink, so that's what makes it good. 35 is amethyst, and so amethyst is a little darker than lilac. It's not quite purple, but it's the purpliest that they make. So it's lighter or darker than this, the amethyst. This color is lilac, and amethyst is darker. So number 35 would be that. And then pink I described, and blue, this one's light blue, this one's dark blue, this blue, so number 36 is between the two. It's kind of a medium blue. So it's a nice blue. I don't know why we haven't had it before. Designing this whole arrangement is kind of pushed me into really getting more different colors of the Griffin cord and different sizes. So we've got some other good things coming up too. And because it's just a wonderful little product, and it makes an easy to use cording that is, you can use it if you have, if you want to make something fancier and have tools and such, or you can use it in a way that doesn't require you to have to use tools. So it just makes it an easy way to put beads together into lots of different things without having to haul your tools along. So if you're going, if you're going camping or to a friend's house or something, you don't have to bring all your tools. Anyway, so that is it for us today. And I'll put a few of these back out there as we finish. This was a fun one with some of those strands. I thank you very much. And Kathy, again, my sympathies for the loss of your brother. Blessings to everybody on this holiday weekend. I hope you play safe, drive safe, eat well. And, enjoy the reason for the season. Jesus is our Savior, and we are blessed and grateful. And I'm looking forward to Easter in so many ways. If anybody has questions about anything here, you know what to do. Email us, Becky@diakonosdesigns.com. And we have deals, right, Eddie?
Yeah.
Here's,
yes.
it's this one, the 10 and 20?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's the deals. If you have, depending on what you purchased, you get some extra monies off.
Yeah.
And bless you all. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you so very much. It's just very fun playing beads together.
Yep. We'll send out the invoices before 5 o'clock today, so look for those in your email box. If you don't think we have your email, again, please send an email to Becky@diakonosdesigns.com. And again, if you pay before noon tomorrow, we will ship them out tomorrow. So thank you. And again, mark your calendars for just 6 days from now. That's unusual for us that we do them that quick. We used to do them every week in the pandemic, but now it works better to do them every 2 weeks. But we'll be reconvening Thursday night at 6 p.m. Central for a 40% off or more D-Stash show with some very fun stuff. I think you'll love it. So thanks, everyone. Happy Easter. And we'll see you next Thursday.
Thanks. God bless. Bye-bye.